Hello and welcome back to another 10-minute investor eye test. This is Carmelo and Sasha from Arcanum Ventures, and today we have a really exciting project to dive into. We've heard a lot about it, but we've purposely not checked it out just so we can leave it for a last-minute surprise. Today we're going to be looking at Gunzilla Games, the developer of the very popular Off the Grid game, a AAA gaming studio built on the Guns blockchain and building its own blockchain. Sasha, what do you know about Gunzilla and the Guns token, which is apparently launching this week?
I know quite a bit, actually. I know that Off the Grid was maybe the biggest game, Web3 game or blockchain game to launch over the past year. And they did a great job of demonstrating what account abstraction can do. So the majority of players just enjoyed playing the game, and they didn't really realize that it was a blockchain-based game. But I know that the Guns token fits into the game somehow. I wasn't sure. I was trying to do some research back when the game first came out and understand what can you do with the Guns token. Since then, I know that they're launching the blockchain, and they plan on launching subsequent titles on that blockchain. So I'm excited to see what that blockchain infrastructure kind of looks like and what the Guns token actually does outside of just powering blockchain transaction settlement and security and all those other things. So it'll be a good one to dive into.
Yeah, that's a great point. There's two different contexts here, how it plugs into the game itself and then how it plugs into its own blockchain. And then obviously one other secondary thing we want to look at is what other games will be launching on this blockchain, either by this very same studio or third-party studios that might want to utilize what they've been building, because they seem to have done a good job building, I believe it's an Avalanche subnet. So I guess we'll dive into it. I think everybody's aware of what Gunzilla is for the most part, anybody in Web3 at least. And I think we had some recommendations before, some feedback on our last video. They're like, you should check out some of the project beforehand and come up with some key points that you want to look for. And we didn't really do that, but we can let the audience know what we might personally be looking for. So I would obviously be looking at the team, what games, like I mentioned, like what games will be developed in the coming year or 2 years, because that's obviously big. You don't want to just have a chain with one game on it. And then what traction they've established with that game already. Obviously, it's been pretty big, and a lot of people are talking about it. So, is there anything in particular that you'll be looking at, specifically with regard to the digital asset itself?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought up the digital asset. I think the goal remains the same for all of our investor 10-minute eye tests. We take 10 short minutes to dive into a project and understand what is that project doing, why are they launching a digital asset, and if we think that digital asset would be a good investment opportunity for us. So make sure you stick around until the end of the video where we give our verdicts. Without further ado, you want to dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, 10 short minutes starting on Gunzilla right meow. Okay, and I've got the website up and the branding. I must say, I like the branding. It is cool and sleek.
Yeah, it's very professional. You can tell that they know what they're doing. And the first thing that catches my eye, surprisingly, is the fact that they are hiring 35 people. Careers. I think that's what that means. They're hiring a bunch of people, so that's always encouraging. If you're hiring this many people, I mean, you and I invested in stocks quite a bit, and one of the things I always look for when trading stocks is like the hiring, or if they're laying off
Yep.
people. And it seems like they're bringing a lot of development talent and a lot of blockchain developers as well. So that's exciting. Looks like they have big plans, and it's no secret that Off the Grid is their biggest flagship game right now. So that's taking up the bulk of the
Mhm.
attention. But like we said before, we want to see if they're developing any other games or gaming modes, because I think that's like an extraction uh, battle royale type game. So they must have other plans. But I think you
Yeah,
mentioned before
absolutely.
that they have like a other website as well. So we got like a lot of information to sift through in 10 minutes. It's not really possible.
Yeah. We've got to dive through this. I just dropped a spoon. I do want to make a note. It's interesting to look at the career pages for companies because it gives you an idea of who they're looking for and who they're hiring and how well the company's doing to support those people. They, I would assume, have offices in Frankfurt, Kiev, and London. So that's quite impressive. Several offices.
Yeah.
They offer potentially relocation support, health insurance, flexible working, and game profit based bonuses. These are all signs of a profitable company. You wouldn't offer something like this, especially in the blockchain or Web3 space, if they weren't making good money and they weren't as liquid. And I do know from recent news that Gunzilla had just acquired Game Informer magazine. So I do know that they have some liquid assets to throw around and grow their company and grow their footprint.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much money they raise, but those are all great points, and it makes me think like maybe the winning thesis in Web3 is invest in companies with insurance policies for their employees because they must be doing well.
Well, we've got the team up here, and I think some of these names are they're notable. I think we know we know of some of these people because they've been in the world of gaming and Web3 for a while. So it's cool to see them. I think Theodore, I met him a couple of times. Wild character, but they've got some really exciting news here. They've got Off the Grid joining Xbox Preview. We do know it's a AAA game. We do know it's quite fun. We do know that it's made huge waves in the industry. But yeah, there's nothing here around the token. So let's go over to the token website and see what we could find.
Wait, you just glossed over the fact that one of their founders is like a major Hollywood director.
We
The
might have to
guy
go back to that.
Neil
Neil
Blomkamp, he
Blomkamp.
directed is that how you pronounce it? I just butchered it. But yeah, he directed
Blomkamp, yeah.
District 9 and Chappie and I think I don't know, several other movies. But District 9 is one of my favorite movies, so seeing him involved is pretty exciting in itself.
Yeah, you can see that influence in the game off the grid as well, which is super
Yeah,
cool.
definitely.
But yeah, we've got the Guns token website here. Play for fun, play to own. And so that's what I would expect from a sort of AAA gaming studio getting into blockchain, right? Or a blockchain based gaming studio trying to launch AAA games. What I want to see here is like a lack of kind of degen esque utilities. I want to hear more wording around digital asset ownership, and then how that's tied to maybe secondary markets, and then focusing on fun game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love not seeing play to earn, play to own, play for fun. Those are the things we should be focused on if it's a real fun game that's actually interesting, not play to win money and maybe offset some of your salary.
Mhm. We've got some very simple graphic here that kind of illustrates this, and it's a sort of peer-to-peer transaction where potentially
Hmm.
this user is trading some number of tokens to this user for an in-game item. And so that's cool because you're creating an entire secondary market just for your user base, and that can create a more engaging gameplay experience. It's what we look for and what we try and incorporate in token economy design around GameFi.
Yeah, for sure. And then, I mean, it leaves one question though, like why having a fluctuating asset as like a denomination for exchanges? Like, I wonder if they have their own stable asset or if they're just planning to use the gun token as like the primary P2P exchange token, basically. But either way, I
Mhm.
mean, it's not. That's pretty typical for like any NFT marketplaces, which that essentially will be an NFT marketplace where you're exchanging assets with other users or players.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe their long-term goal is to create like a healthy amount of liquidity depth across markets so that the price of the actual asset is stabilized.
Yeah,
But it's going to be a challenge, at least with market making in the first year or so. But I got to say, the website's beautiful and it's very responsive and fast for the amount of animations that they've included. But here we've got some information on the in-game currency Gun. So the Gun is the token that's being launched for the Gunzilla blockchain, but it's
hmm
also being used as an in-game currency, and that's cool because you see, a lot of times because of that volatility in the currency, some of these game economies won't include the token or the native asset as a strict payment medium.
yeah. Do you know what's pretty interesting to me here too is I love how they've assigned like values specific here to some accolades. Like, all right, you killed 5 enemies with a grenade. Here's a half of a gun. And that's interesting in tandem with them not mentioning anything about play to earn. And technically, this is play to earn. Like, if you're very good, if you place first as a pre-made squad, you get 10 gun. But that little subtle lingo, it means that they're not expecting people to sell these tokens. And obviously, some people will sell the tokens, but that just makes me believe that they believe that these tokens will be sunk back into buying other things because these players earn and then they go and they buy cosmetics, which is what gaming should be. It's what any utility asset in any game, blockchain or otherwise, should have. Like, you're not gonna, your first thought's not gonna be to sell these tokens. It's gonna be to use them, which is obviously very encouraging for anybody that holds the tokens or invests in the tokens.
It's such a good point, and you can classify that as play to earn. But here's the fun distinction: when you have a really exciting game title, then what's the company doing? They're paying people to create a more engaging gameplay experience. So if I'm
Yep.
getting reward in some cryptocurrency by going out and just like murdering 5 people, then I'm adding to the gameplay experience because now I'm a wild man. Now we're throwing we're throwing some wrenches into the pile.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a good way. That's a good thing to give out tokens for. You just got to make sure that you're sinking more tokens back into the game, which we haven't really seen much of yet, right? Like, we haven't seen any sinks. We've seen peer to peer transaction token. We've seen reward mechanism for high level gameplay, but we haven't seen any way that they sink it back into the economy. Maybe transaction fees, fees for upgrading cosmetics. Have you seen anything like that, or am I missing something?
I haven't seen a whole lot of that here, but I do know there's a white paper, and so I'll go ahead and open that up. And so I guess this is the white paper that's specific to the layer one blockchain, guns, and it should have information around what the token actually does.
Hmm.
But yeah, I did see. Let's see, we've got gun economy and gun tokens. So I'll go ahead and just skip over to page 8 and see what that looks like. And we've got a lot of information here and a really cool infographic. So we'll take a close look at that. And I know it is a blockchain, so I'm assuming that they're going to be distributing tokens to people that are helping operate the blockchain, whether that's through blockchain nodes or some other thing.
Yep.
But I see token minting, and that enables third party developers with an official partnership to create and manage their own digital tokens directly on the Guns chain. So they have some B2B avenue here for people to build in their network, which is very cool. It means that there's a likelihood there'll be more game developers bringing more value to the token economy versus just Gunzilla having to do that on their own by developing games and launching it on the economy.
Yeah, which is obviously the move. Like, you don't want to have to carry the whole chain by yourself. But one thing that struck me, I think it said above that year, they're going to enable it so that any third party can mint their own tokens, but it's a permissioned blockchain, so they're going to have final say there. It's not totally decentralized, but it makes you wonder, like, how will the guns token function in this greater ecosystem when there are also going to be other digital assets living on this chain with their own purpose and function. So
Mm,
it's obviously, like we said before, there's two contexts here. There's how it fits into off the grid in Gunzella's actual games, and then how it fits into the chain. So that's what we mentioned. This graphic might shed some light on it, but transaction fees, like your traditional gas fees paid, I can't imagine they'd be that high because you don't want a game chain with a lot of gas fees.
oh man. Yeah, absolutely. And I think you mentioned that they're building an Avalanche subnet. And so when you're building that kind of like layer three or layer two infrastructure, even like a layer one subnet, you have that customizability in how you want to structure like the transaction fees, depending on how your node economy is set up.
Hmm.
Then you can also facilitate fast and near instant settlement of transactions. So that's very interesting. There's a lot happening in this infographic, and we already hit our 10 minutes, but I guess we could cheat and take one more minute because we saw some really cool tokenomic stuff right here. But
Yeah,
there's a lot
right
of
there.
arrows, right?
Yeah, but the most interesting one, like, it kind of answers one of our questions in a way, but off the grid in Gunzilla's game treasury pays 30% of all revenue to buy gun tokens. That is great. Like, we kind of want to see that. We want to see some commitment to value accrual for the token itself from the company. But it does leave you to wonder, because I also haven't seen anything from off the grid on how they raise money, how they make money, revenue rather, because they're a free to play game. So what is their model and how much money can we expect from them? And then we shave off 30%, send it right back into the Gunzilla
Mhm.
game treasury, the game token, the gun token, sorry. And that's just from one game. So if this is replicable and you have like dozen games and they're all doing that and they're all bringing in a decent amount of money, then it's a pretty good model. But we would need to know how much off the grid is actually making and what the revenue streams are, because I don't know what their revenue streams are. It seems like they're paying tokens to really good players for accolades. It's free to play, so that leaves me some pretty big questions. Probably you as well.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, really. We have to understand how profitable this business is first, and then how are they going to create what we might refer to in the world of tokenomics as revenue diversity. And if it's something as simple as they're offering loot boxes or they're offering other types of in-game assets to players that don't care at all about cryptocurrency, then they can onboard some fiat currency. They can onboard some, let's say, US dollars or euros or whatever through like traditional payment rails. There's going to be a whole demographic of people that don't even want to know it's a crypto game. And then you've got the avenue of people earning cryptocurrency from either, let's say, supporting the network through node validation, I guess, earning fees that way, or they're going to be killing people and getting money for killing people, which is really fun and exciting. And so you need to give them some avenue of spending those tokens back in the game, whether it's for like in-game items or whatever. And you've got to maybe create some incentive for them to do that instead of spending hard currency, because maybe they don't want to go out and grind and earn gun token to spend in the game when they could just spend dollars, right? So yeah, there's a lot of questions here, but it looks really interesting. We are over time, so let's run to the verdicts first. And I do want to remind everyone, thank you so much for watching our content, for supporting Arcanum Ventures. And if you do like this content, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, stick around, drop a comment below, give us some feedback on what you think we're doing right or wrong, and make sure you stick around because we've got some more fun content coming out very soon. And yeah, if you're ready, I'll go ahead and dive in my verdict and you can wrap it up.
Take it away.
All right. We're talking about the Guns token, right? As a potential investment play. And from what I've seen so far, I like it. You know, this is as the documentation around the token economy, the digital asset economy, and how the company kind of works it's piqued my interest. I like the level of detail. I like the way things are structured. I have been bullish on GameFi for a while, but in the right way. It's people might, they might laugh when they hear me say that because they think that we've been poo-pooing on GameFi forever. That's not true. We've been poo-pooing on GameFi, but then we've been working hard to create like valuable, sensible structures for game development studios and games. And we're seeing that here. I like it. I think there's a great way to tie in a cool digital asset economy into what looks like a really fun game. And I think they're working hard at doing that. And the idea of bringing, some portion of company revenues back to support the token economy, they're committing to 30%, which is massive, I do have to say, and a high financial risk to the company. But that's good if you're a token holder. And so if the company's making money, which I suspect they are, because they're hiring 35 people across 3 offices globally, and they're acquiring, game media companies like Game Informer, then maybe this is a good investment opportunity. So I would give it 1 thumb up. I'm definitely going to try and dive deeper in the white paper, learn more about how the blockchain works, and see if there's other methods of value accrual that make this a good investment for me.
You gonna sneak in for a last minute OTC deal?
Yeah, why not? Theodore, hit me up.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much covered everything I wanted to say, so well done. I would give it a thumbs up. It checks all the boxes, like we said. Like, they have insurance policies. They're hiring so many people. I have faith, just based off our eye test. Obviously, this is just a 10-minute assessment, so it's imperfect by design, but they check all the boxes. They have a pretty good team. They're hiring a lot of people. They're obviously running like a real company. They have a plan. Their game has extreme amount of traction. It's probably the biggest breakthrough for Web3 gaming we've seen so far. It's the one that has broken through to traditional gaming more than any title before it. So it would be disingenuous to say that they're not doing everything right, because you and I have invested in gaming studios and Web3 gaming before, and this one kind of seems like the poster child for Web3 gaming right now. Maybe that won't always be, but it's probably like as close to a layup for a gaming Web3 investment right now as you could possibly get. And there is no such thing, obviously, but it feels like as safe as an investment as you can make right now in this climate, in this niche. So yeah, everything looks beautiful. The gameplay, like we didn't get a chance to show so much gameplay on this video, but check it out. Like the gameplay also looks pretty interesting. Like it's a real game. It's not like a 1995 GoldenEye reskin that we've seen from a lot of these games. And then, a few things I would dive deeper into if I had more time right now. I think there's some NFT node validators that exist. So there's other digital assets. So we need to see how they clash, how they interfere with each other potentially, if there's any conflict of interest between owning them or if they do the same thing or whatever. But yeah, from what I've seen so far, it's impressive. I would also want to know what their plans are for the next 2 years. What's that roadmap look like? Can we expect more games, different variety of games like real-time strategy or I don't know, trading card games or an MMO maybe, because they only have this off the grid so far. And then how are they incentivizing other builders to build on their chain rather than building on Arbitrum or Polygon or Immutable or one of the other gaming chains? Because there's a lot now. So what are they doing to become the biggest gaming chain? Because that would inform my decision to invest in the Guns token, which is basically the network token of not just Gunzilla's chain, but everything their studio, this AAA studio, produces. So yeah, that would inform the decision. I would want to know that. But yeah, I think this is as close to a layup, thumbs up that we can possibly have. So well done. Good job, Gunzilla team. And I think they're launching this week on Binance. So best of luck. I think the stars are aligned for this. And I'm going to be checking in and seeing how they're doing over the course of this week. And best of luck, team. And thank you for tuning in to another 10-minute investor eye test with Sasha and myself at Arcanum Ventures. And we will have more interviews and eye tests coming in the next weeks. So tune in. Take it easy, everybody. Bye.
Ciao, y'all.